Now, what you see me doing here is I'm using the Edge Pro Apex and setting it up to mount the A.S.O.K.A Sharp Maker diamond file. What you see me doing here currently is I have a drill bit collar attached to the stem that holds the sharpening arm. I pinch it in between the base of the arm so that I get the proper height, so that for every different file or plate that I use, they are at the exact height that I need them to be, so that I keep my angle consistent, the particular sharpening angle that I want as consistent as possible. How to mount a A.S.O.K.A Sharp Maker file onto the Edge Pro arm? You simply remove the brass cylinder and then reattach it. Reattach the ball handle and make sure it's not twisted or lifted above the arm. Me personally, I use 3-in-1 oil for all my diamond abrasives because they stay on metal plates. So using water is actually a detriment rather than a benefit, whether it's soapy water or just plain water. Any H2O type things would work against the abrasives over time as they start to flake off of the metal. What I'm sharpening here is the M4. I still have the previous mirror polish. Now it takes a little bit longer to remove mirror polishes from course, especially with the particular way that I do my mirror polishes. So what I'm doing is I'm working it through, making sure that I completely remove the old surface of the edge bevel. And that's all the way through. Make sure none of it remains. From the bevel height, from the shoulder of the bevel to the very apex, all of it has to be removed. I'm not really much of a believer in things such as touch-ups, unless you count stropping as touch-ups, but stropping doesn't really count as touch-ups. But yeah. So now you see me kind of angling the blade. That's to follow the belly. If I were to just leave the edge straight and have the file go all the way across while I'm holding the edge in one position, then what will happen is you'll get a flare at the belly going all the way to the tip. So what will happen is it'll kind of make the edge bevel higher. If I were to just keep the position of the blade straight, going all the way across. So that's why you see me kind of working it in different angles as I'm working my way up to the belly and up to the tip, just to make it as accurate as possible. I'm wiping it with paper towel because if I created any type of burr, then the fibers off the paper towel will catch and makes it a lot easier to see if you made the burr or not. Makes it a lot easier to locate the burrs. And you definitely want to make sure that your burr goes from heel to tip all the way across. If you have any missing spots, you rework those particular spots. And you see the particular motions that I use. A few times I will use sweeping motions, but that's primarily because in this particular case, I'm just like using a coarse abrasive. I'm really focused on trying to remove the old steel, the old surface of the previous bevel. Because the more you stay consistent with doing that, the more effective your sharpening will be as you progress. and a much better edge will be created. And again, you see me wiping the seal with paper towel. I'm looking for the burr. And yeah, that's how it is for the most part. Now, explaining why this video is so long. Because in actuation, it takes me around 25 minutes to go from coarse all the way up to a mirror polished edge. About 25 minutes. This video in total is just a touch over 45 minutes. And here's the reasons why. One, the camera that I'm using, which is the camera that I used for my previous videos, is an older camera. So if I move too fast and the camera starts to lose focus, it'll stay out of focus for the remainder of the time until I remain completely still. Secondly, I have to sit on a stool because the camera is sitting, well, not sitting, it's actually mounted on the desk lamp that's providing the light that you see. And because I'm worried about the camera bugging out with the focus, I have to sit on a stool as opposed to my usual chair that I use for sharpening overhead. So I'm also in a higher position. And the final thing is the lamp. Lamp is positioned in a different spot, so I'm not actually getting all that I'm able to see as quickly as I'm usually accustomed to. So because of those three things combined is the reason why what normally takes me about 25 minutes, even if I'm removing a previous mirror polish that I put on, is taking me 45 minutes to go through. And yeah, it wasn't easy. But a reviewer did request that they wanted to see a full sharpening. And so I provided that. Now notice my natural motion is to move the rod up and down primarily. There's a little bit of sweeping involved, but the primary motion that I look to do is an up and down motion. So that's from edge to spine, edge to spine. And the reason for that is because whatever motion you use as you progress, that's how you're forming the serrations at the apex. So if you're doing sweeping motions, the serrations of the apex are going to be sitting angular to the spine of the blade, which can, I mean, some people can get away with like using edges like that. I can't, not with the way I use my blades. And it's not like I'm like using my blades in unconstitutional ways, but you know, my blades go through work on a weekly basis. And they often have the wear to prove it. So now that I'm identifying the burr, seeing that it's going consistent from heel to tip, now I can proceed to create my more usual motions, the up and down motions. Then I'm going across, transferring the burr from one side to the next. And at the end, what I do is I do a light burr. Well, I basically work on lightening the burr before I progress to the next thing. Because having a coarse edge, getting a burr from the coarse, the burrs are always big, and then as you progress, the burr gets smaller and smaller and smaller. But now you see right here, doing very light passes to just reduce that burr. Not to remove it, but just to reduce it. So that at the next junction, well, the next progression, I am basically going to have a bit of better success at keeping that edge apex as much as possible, transferring the burr with little to no issues. So you see these light passes going along from heel to tip. Then I check it the final time to make sure that the burr has been reduced, and it's a success. And then I give a thumbs up. So now I remove that. Now, next phase, and yeah, I dropped the ball. All right, next one, I'm going to be fitting a DMT aligner plate. This plate is originally used for DMT's guided sharpening system. But yeah, and then again you see me pinching it to make sure that the base of the arm is sitting low enough to accommodate the thickness of the plate. And what you see me attaching here next is the brass cylinder that's originally for the Edge Pro. Oh, and another thing I didn't mention, they don't sit on the pinch platforms. I usually have them sitting on the bar. I usually have the plates sitting on the bar themselves. So that way there's no compromise with the angle that I'm trying to keep consistent with. And those little black pieces that you see me put in between the plate and the pinches is it's a Filmex material, so it has some flexibility and make sure I have a sturdy grip. And then what you see me pinching on right now is another drill bit collar that I'm using, and I'm just locking it in. And that's how I lock in shorter plates to adjust for the Edge Pro arm. Drop that oil in, you know, swirl it around. I didn't really clean this. I didn't really clean the plates, none of the plates, so that's why they're still a little bit dirty. But yeah, and here we go. Get a relaxed grip, and then I begin. Keep my adjustment as consistent as possible. And what I do is I don't look to put the flats of the blade, like I don't look to put the ricasso on the Edge Pro platform. What I do is I simply use the bevels of the blade itself. And it doesn't matter if it's flat bevels, doesn't matter if it's hollow ground bevels, I will use them. Unless there's a flat provided, but usually I don't bother with the flats. I usually just have it sitting on the primary bevel itself. Have the primary bevel itself sitting on the platform. And then I go to work. But yeah, I apologize in advance for the length of this video. You know, it's just, yeah. Usually, like I said, usually 25 minutes, but because of the reasons previously known, that is the issue that I'm presented with. So, yeah, can't go any faster. Can't get through it as fast as I usually do. But nonetheless, you get to see a little bit of something, particularly for those who use an Edge Pro system. And for those who simply hand sharpen, passing speed is one thing. That's one key factor. And breaking the scratch pattern, that's another thing. Is putting a little bit of a change in the scratch pattern. So it's all about speed of the pass and scratch pattern changes. Because once you put those factors in place, it can take something that normally takes other people 1 hour to do, like mirror polishing. Putting a mirror polish on an edge that is also hair blowing, hair whittling, takes some people an hour to do. And with this, you know, well, of course, I didn't prove it to be, you know, that much faster, but I mean, 45 minutes on video, 25 minutes if I didn't have to worry about a camera and I could actually sit in my regular chair. I mean, that's the difference. Passing speed, breaking scratch patterns, that's how you can get through steel faster. Especially when you're dealing with either tough steels or steels that are super high in carbides that are also rich in vanadium. Those steels can be a breeze. Well, not much of a breeze, but like, you know, I mean, imagine not having to worry about taking so long to sharpen S90V or Rex 45 or M4 or 4V, you know. Because if it's not the super carbide rich steels that you have to worry about having a lengthy sharpening session, it's usually the premium tool steels, premium high-spec tool steels that are high hardened. That's what makes a difference. If you're doing the slow passes but still breaking the pattern, it'll be a little bit faster, but not as fast as you think. And if you're doing fast passes but not actually breaking scratch patterns, then again, it's going to be faster than going without either one. But still, you have to have that combination of the two. Fast passing speeds as well as breaking scratch pattern. And I find that the up and down motion is the best way to break that scratch pattern. I mean, imagine guys that use belt grinders. The belt doesn't go up and down, it just simply rotates in one direction. So from there, they either have to have that motor on the belt grinder running super fast, well, not super fast, but much faster to accommodate something that's like, say, hardened like Maximum, for example, which is like between 67 and some people will actually try to take it up to like 71, maybe 72. But yeah. And just like I was saying earlier, the up and down scratch patterns, it makes for much stronger serrations at the very pinnacle of the apex. Like I said, you do those sweeping motions. Well, the thing is, that's another thing I have to say about that too. Making sweeping motions will actually break some of those serrations off. And the serrations that remain, they're going to be sitting on an angle. So when you're slicing through denser material, say you're going through a bit of a dense cardboard, those teeth are bending a lot faster. And they're getting weak a lot faster. That's why another reason why this up and down scratch pattern is much more significant than a sweeping pattern. All right. So now I've completed that. Oh, that, by the way, is the fine grit diamond plate. All right, so I'm removing that. Now, this piece. This is a piece of what used to be my DMT 8x3 plate until I took it to work and chopped it up into 3 pieces. 2 of those pieces can fit on the apex, no problem. And then the 3rd piece I just left as a base, like as a square. Just in case I was like, hey, you know what? I could just throw that in my backpack and like, you know, maybe if I want to take my chance and like, you know, I need to like sharpen something on the fly, which doesn't come up often, but I just kept it that way just in case. Maybe later on I'll break that square into another piece, and now I have 4 pieces that I could use. I can have one that I use, and then 3 spare pieces. This is the DMT extra fine plate. Tighten it up, same way I did with the previous plate, using that drill bit collar. And you see how my camera's bugging out, right? That's what I'm talking about. And if I was moving at the same speeds that I'm used to moving, then it would not focus until I sit immediately still. And that was the one thing that really messed up when I was trying to film the sharpening of the Para 3 and 4V that I have. The sharpening was a success, but the filming of it was not. I got about 9 minutes of usable footage. The first 9 minutes was fine, but there was something that caused the camera to bug out and go out of focus. And because of that, the rest of the footage was useless. So I definitely didn't want to present that to anybody. So I was just like, you know what? I still got the M4 to sharpen, and I still have the Rex 45 to sharpen to prepare them for the toughness showdown test that I'll be filming in about a week's time from now. Well, not filming, I'll be posting on YouTube about a week's time from now. But yeah. Well, same thing, passing speed, changing the angles to accommodate that belly and the tip. Now I'm getting carried away and I'm starting to try to move a little bit fast, but then I can see the camera starting to bug out a bit more now, and I'm just like, okay, now I have to move a little bit slower. Make sure the camera doesn't go out of focus. So I'm slowing down, moving a little bit less. Oh yeah. And I find like I find using the paper towel, and the paper towel is split paper towel. So I basically take the paper towel, split it at the corner, and then tear that in half. So it's half the thickness of the regular size paper towel. And I find that much more adequate than using painter's tape for the Edge Pro, just because, one, it serves a way better purpose. Two, it catches the debris in a particular place. So if I'm sliding the blade across, I don't have to tape up the blade because I don't have to worry about the blade getting scratched up as much as with the painter's tape. Because in the painter's tape, the slurry goes all over the place. And then I'm like stuck with like, I gotta, like, if I had a plain blade that's non-coated, then I would have had to deal with a bunch of random scratches all over it with the painter's tape on the platform of the Edge Pro. And like I said before, it's also great because then I wipe the edge across the paper towel, so then if the edge has any burrs, the burr will catch the fibers of the paper towel, which makes it easier to locate the burr itself with the naked eye. Oh, another little thing I want to touch on. So, okay, plating is my profession. And it's because of this, the reason why I use the oil is because using the oil as opposed to using water means that you're going to get a lot longer life on that, on the plating of these, on the metallic plating, metallic bond on these plates. Because these plates use these companies that make these diamond abrasive plates, like these plates with metallic bonded diamond abrasives, they use primarily like a nickel plating. And if I were to use water over and over and over, there's going to come a time where that that nickel plating starts to flake off. If I would just use water or even soap and water, anything with H2O, because plating tends to lose its integrity when you introduce water to it. It doesn't coat good with it. Anything other than oil, anything other than light machine oil, or even if you have like mineral oil, that's food grade safe, type of oil. You can use that too, but not water. Using the oil guarantees that that plate, that metallic bond, is going to have a much longer life. So you'll be able to use it until those diamonds are completely ground down to nothing. And yeah, there's some people out there that have used water on these plates the entire time they've been using the plates, and then all of a sudden the metallic bond, the nickel plating starts to flake off. And I don't want that. So I use the oil because I know the oil helps keep the bonding together with the metal plate. All right, finally complete. Hey, we're almost there. Just under 20 minutes to go. Oh boy. At this time, I muted the original audio of this video because I was kind of like listening to radio as I was doing this. And I'm just using this audio voiceover that I'm doing, just commentary. But yeah, at that point, as soon as I removed that extra fine plate, I let out a big sigh because I'm looking at the time on the camera and I'm like, are you kidding me? I just finished the extra fine sharpening, and it's been 26 minutes, or like over 26 minutes right now. Like crazy, man. All right. Anyways, so right now I'm setting up the diamond lapping tape. This is a 15 micron diamond lapping tape. And this is sitting on the Edge Pro template that's used for the Edge Pro's polishing tapes. So this diamond lapping tape I get from a company called Lee Valley. If you're here in Canada, they have brick and mortar stores. I'm not sure. I think they also have brick and mortar stores in the States. But if you want to order from them, because they do accommodate, they do accommodate international ordering. You go to leevalley.com. That's LEEVALLEY.com. And just type in their search bar on that website, diamond lapping film, because it's actually a film, not a tape. But, it's got one side adhesives and the other side diamond abrasives. I like this personally, as opposed to having to spend more money for like something like 8,000 grit stones, 10,000 grit stones, 16,000 grit stones, 20,000 grit stones. This tape takes all of that money and keeps that shit in your pocket. These things go for like about, what is it, 29 for a set of this diamond lapping film, which the set comes with 15 micron, 3 micron, 0.5 micron, and 0.1 micron. I believe it's 0.1 micron. Let me just see if I can verify that. Yeah, but for the set, it costs you $29.99 before tax, $29.99 Canadian. And if you just want to buy the singular ones, if you just want to buy them single, like you don't want to get the set, you just want to get a particular micron, then yeah, you can get it. It's about $9 per tape. It's $9.99. But yeah, I just verifying over here that yeah, the set comes with the 15 micron. That's what you see me using right now. The 3 micron, the 0.5 micron, and the 0.1 micron. So I'm getting a damn good deal with that. And these tapes last a long ass time. I've used these for sharpening so many times. Oh, another thing that you're seeing here, you notice that near the heel, I'm not going up and down, I'm just dragging it downwards. It's the same thing that you have to do with Edge Pro polishing tapes. As you sharpen near the heel, if you start going up and down, the heel will catch the corner of that tape and start to cut it apart. And you also have to be careful with how big your burr is with using these tapes. If you leave a big burr and then try to use polishing tapes or even this diamond lapping tape, you see it all chewed up on the plate over there. If you leave a big burr before transferring to these tapes, they will start getting shredded apart. And then you'll have to replace them. And that was one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people, including myself, have made in the past. And that's why a lot of people kind of like, said, oh, the Edge Pro polishing tapes are garbage. Da, 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 da. In actuation, yeah, the polishing tapes kind of suck for the Edge Pro in terms of the job that they do. Yeah, they're better suited for like the chromium carbide steels, the ones that are primarily made up of chromium carbides, like your AS.K.A.s and HDR 13 MOVs, your Sandvik steels, like your Sandvik 18C 28N or 12C 27. That's what those polishing tapes are better. The Edge Pro polishing tapes are better for. But this diamond lapping tape, oh my gosh. I'm so glad I found those. It really does put a lot of money back in your pocket because it saves you from buying things like 20,000 grit stones from wherever, whether it's diamond or not. It's going to be costing you a pretty chunk compared to just getting this set for $29.99 or just getting a single tape for $9.99 Canadian at whatever micron you were looking for. And you could get a simple, smooth, elegant looking polish. But yeah, you just have to be careful when grinding near the heel of the edge. So yeah, grinding it down, working on it. Like I said, keeping that up and down motion. Make sure the serrations on the apex are nice and straight, and they will be at their strongest. Adding a little bit more oil, keeping that slurry on. That's another thing too. Slurry is great for assisting in sharpening when you're doing non-dry sharpening. And I really don't recommend any kind of dry sharpening in general because when you think about it, that's metal particles. And the lighter the metal particles are when you're doing dry sharpening, the more it's just going to come up in the air and start floating around for you to breathe it in. And it does just as much damage, almost as much damage as breathing in fiberglass. I think it was about the same amount of damage as breathing in fiberglass. So that's why I like to keep things wet and to make sure that they're consistently non-dry. Oil is the best bet. That and also for the metallic bond plates, oil is the best bet. You do not want to use water and stuff. Now these things, yes, you can, like all the plates and including the tape, you can use them dry. You can. there's nothing stopping you from using any of what I'm using here dry. But again, like I said, better to leave them wet. Better to leave them like, coated in oil. Or, if you don't want to use oil, you want to use water, that's fine. Just keep them lubricated with something. Oh yeah. Just working that tip. And that's the thing too, is making sure the sharpening goes all the way across and you're not missing a single bit of that edge bevel. Not missing any bit of that surface. I mean, there's some parts that you can't control, like for example with the M4. I noticed with my previous sharpening, I kind of like dipped a little bit more shallow angle in my previous sharpening, so I can't really get all the way on that tip. But I say, you know what, over time, as I keep sharpening the knife, I will be able to level it out with the tip. I can fix the tip, there's no problem there, but the angle change is so subtle that I'd rather just gradually work on it as I resharpen this knife. So, but yeah. That's looking good. That's just me checking everything out, making sure it's okay. And it's good. So, the final piece. The piece de resistance. We are now at the mirror polishing stage. See me lining up that plate, making sure the arm height is consistent with the desired angle. And yeah, if you want to know where to get drill bit collars, just go to any hardware store. And what I did was I got a drill bit collar set because I said, you know what, you never know. I know exactly what size I wanted for the Edge Pro, for the stem that holds the arm, but I just got the set just in case, and I'm glad I did. Because this Edge Pro I've had with me for a couple of years now, and I bought that drill bit collar set that came with seven different sizes. And I'm glad I bought the set because then I didn't realize at the time when I just got the Edge Pro that I would be fitting other plates and files other than the standard Edge Pro stones and templates. And so yeah, go get yourself a drill bit collar set. You'll be glad you did. If you own an Edge Pro, particularly. So now, I don't know if you guys can see this on the video, but you can see that edge is glistening now. Just getting that nice pearly polish. And once you get it to that point, it's hard to ignore. Oh my gosh. Now, not to say that I do this on every single edge that I work on. It's just that it's much more useful. Like a mirror polish edge is much more useful with these non-stainless steels, because that means that you're less likely to have, like if I had I kept it at say a 1200 grit or a 1000 grit or 800 grit, the grind lines will start to catch grime. The grind lines on the edge will start to catch grime and stuff, and that's something you don't want when it comes to having, especially when it comes to having these non-stainless steels. So polish the edge is always the way to go with these non-stainless steels, because that means there's virtually no grind lines for micro, nano, and picoscopic grime to sit in, between and mess up the steel with corrosion. But yeah, there's a time and place for mirror polish grinds. And when it comes to the non-stainless steels, that's what you'll want to put at mirror polish. Alright, so slowly getting there. I'm almost there. It's about 5 minutes away from now before the video's over. I'm just working on it. I think this is probably going to be the longest video I ever post. Longest video I will ever post. I mean, this is ridiculous. It was just like, if you've seen the look on my face, like, I'm happy to look at the mirror polish forming, but if you've seen the look on my face, like what I'm thinking in my head at this time right now, it's like, oh my gosh, let it be over. Let it be over. Because this reminds me of the time back when I was just like new to sharpening within Edge Pro system. And I was like, to try and work on getting these type of high polish finishes. Yeah. Like, you're looking at an hour, and like half the time you're just like, you know what? Yeah, take a break. But of course, this is a full sharpening video, so I couldn't take a break. I wouldn't have minded if it was my usual time, 25 minutes or so. You know, sometimes less, sometimes more. Usually 25 if I'm trying to grind out my previous mirror polish. But yeah, you see that there, nice mirror polish, beautiful mirror polish. Another thing with that 3 micron is the oil just gets pushed out mostly, so I can, instead of having to reapply 3-in-1, I just simply go across the edge, go on each end and just kind of push the oil with the slurry in there, real good. And yeah, slurry definitely assists with the grind too. But of course, at this point, when I'm at 3 microns on the polishing tape or diamond lapping tape, the slurry really doesn't matter much, because I'm taking out the grind lines in the edge to create this. So, but I still use it anyway. Just about there, but you see that beautiful polish. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I would say, if anything, if you have this like on your tablet, you're watching this on your tablet, and you don't really want to watch the whole thing, just pause it or put it in your watch later video if you don't want to watch the whole thing. You know, just put it in the watch later pile, and then you could get back to it. Oh yeah, man, when I bring that, but when you start to understand how to create a mirror polish, it's just beautiful when you see it come to life. Because you just like, you look at it, you look at the transformation as you're passing that tape or stone or file across, and then you see, like, right before you go from, like, as you're going from heel to tip, you start to see the heel and you start to see the tip, and you're like, holy crap, that you see it, you actually see the difference. And all right, I'm done. So now I'm like reaching in my bag that has hair, my hair. And there we go. So I got a piece of hair in my hand, and I'm going a lot, like I said before, I go along grain. I don't go against the grain, like toward the stem of it, like towards the part of the hair where the hair plug is. I go along with the grain towards the tip of the hair, just harder to cut. And look, just blew it right off. So yeah, I'm just about the end of the video here, and Hope you guys enjoyed this lengthy as fuck video. I hope you learned something. And yeah, be on the lookout for my toughness showdown between 4V, M4, and Rec 45. Coming in about a week or so's time. And yeah, that being said, okay, people, I am out.